morning, good afternoon, good evening, good whatever time it is, wherever you are. Welcome to episode 61 of the Living Truthfully podcast. Yes, episode 61. And I'm so excited that you're here, that you're still listening to these conversations. And yeah, that during the COVID quarantine period, we can still do this. In studio, I have a man that is not a stranger to you. I have a man that has been on this show before. I have a man that is proud of his name and family heritage. Put your hands together for one, Gowi Odera.
Yo. What's up?
I've not finished your name, Maze. Odera, Maze.
Okay.
Give it up for Gowi. It's okay. You've just messed my name.
Messed you up.
Okay, you guys, you remember I told you I'm self-producing this thing and self-recording. So,
boss, I have to tell you, man. I think me have arrived.
You've arrived.
You remember I told you, when I was here?
Yeah.
About 8 episodes ago.
Yes.
All right.
8 episodes.
Yes. Just 8 episodes ago.
Imagine that.
I was like, I've been waiting for you to invite me, But then you've asked me back. Mi nimefika. I have arrived, man.
Back within the same year, within the same.
I have arrived.
You're that guy, by the way.
Living truthfully, twice. I've arrived.
Twice in 1 quarter, bro. It's not just twice. It's twice in 1 quarter. You figured.
I'm really honored.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you for breaking quarantine to come. I don't know if that's a good thing, but you've sanitized.
No, I've not broken quarantine. I'm within. We are with.
No, you've not broken curfew.
No, I've not broken curfew.
You've just broken quarantine.
I'm not under quarantine, bro.
Oh no, self-quarantine. We are all under self-quarantine.
We're under isolation.
Oh, that's what it is, eh?
There's a difference between isolation and quarantine.
That's true.
Yes.
Okay, we are under isolation.
Yes.
It's even worse.
And we're maintaining the
social distance. By the way, over here, it's like 1.5 meters.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't touch you today.
No,
you didn't touch me.
No.
We sanitized.
We sanitized.
Yes.
It's all good. Do you want a mask?
I have my mask.
You do. Well, mine, I removed it because I'm living truthfully. You see how I did that? You see what I used that for? Yeah.
Good.
Oh yeah, wait. I have a drum roll for my comedy drum roll. So I'll repeat it.
Yes.
So me, I removed mine because I'm living truthfully. Okay, you guys didn't hear it. Because there's something else playing. I'm trying to figure this thing out. Oh, shucks. It's the settings. I need to do the settings. I'll put the drum roll later. Anyway, so, first, bro, I'm so grateful for your willingness to come. And I'm grateful that you've been willing to tell a story that's not an easy story to tell. But let's start with, you did an engaged talk.
I did an engaged talk, man. After we talked with you.
After we talked, you did an engaged talk.
You see what I did there?
See what you did there. You're not funny. And I listened to it, bro, and you're such a good storyteller.
Thank you, bro.
What's the title of the engaged talk again? I'm trying to find
The
it.
Baby Whisperer.
The Baby Whisperer.
Yes.
And mine is called Who's Your Daddy? Do you see a pattern here?
I see a pattern here, right? Yes.
Let me just keep this thing kosher. I'm bored. This is what is happening after,
This is what you can do.
This is what happens when you're in isolation.
2 weeks in the house.
I have talked all the worst jokes ever. In fact, one was so offensive, someone blasted me on Twitter, but it's okay.
So, bro, I have to confess. I mean, you've been in the house. This is now week number 2. Just the opportunity to come. Dude, man, this is a breath of fresh air. Just got out of the house.
Oh, you're having, you're whispering to the babies.
Yes. The babies in the house.
Yeah.
I'm whispering.
You're whispering the end.
They're bored. If a toy tells you, Baba, okay, I am bored with you.
Yeah.
Just know you.
And Kwanza, when a toy is bored with you, you're a major extrovert, Bana.
Yes.
And then now, you're a fun dad, and then your toys are, they're bored with you. That's bad. I feel it for all introvert dads that are in the house, Here are some tissues if you need some.
Okay.
I feel it for all some introvert dads, who your kids were bored with you the first day.
And it's not changed.
And it's not changed. Sorry, I feel for the kids, even for the dads. I mean, we all need affirmation. It's an interesting story because you tell the story of adoption.
Yes.
How you adopted your 2 children.
Yes.
Guys, I'm not going to ask him to repeat the story, not entirely, because it's there. You can find it on YouTube. Just go look for Engage Talks and go look for Gowi or go look for the Baby Whisperer. But there's some things I want to pick out from it.
Sure.
So the first thing is that your mom was a social worker.
She was a social worker, yes.
And because your mom was a social worker, you were exposed to the world of adoption.
Actually, it was child
welfare,
the crisis that children born into different circumstances and the welfare of children, and that was her specialty.
You know, and I don't mean to be racist, but you mentioned in a story an Indian child,
yes,
who was adopted,
yes,
and I was so surprised that even those need adoption. Like I don't know why I expected that they don't.
A child is a child.
I know. I understand.
And you know, cases don't, stop. It goes for every ethnicity.
It's crazy that you'd imagine that because we see more community from them, you'd imagine that there would be less adoption, and maybe there is less in terms of numbers. But that was interesting. There's a story you tell of your great grandfather.
Yes.
So tell that story. That's the story I want you to start with.
Well, my father told me this story.
Okay.
As he was convalescing in bed. This is a couple of months before he passed on. But those were the times he was healthy, lucid, and up and doing that. So when I sat down with him and I shared with him some of the challenges we were having in our family with regards to having children.
And we'll talk about those in a bit.
Sure. He told me this story about my grandfather.
Actually, it was your grandfather or your great-grandfather?
His grandfather.
His grandfather, so your great-grandfather.
Yes, my great-grandfather. And so, no, he told a story about it was about his father and his father's father. So actually, you get what I'm trying to say here.
About his father and his grandfather.
Where I'm even just.
So it's his father and his father's father.
Exactly.
His father's father is his grandfather, which makes it your great-grandfather.
Thank you.
My goodness. Please get a refund on your school fees, please.
I just got confused there. Anyway, so he told me that one day there was this group of guys in Western Kenya who are foraging around some area and heard a cry of a baby. This baby's cry was very loud. But the thing about this cry was, it was eerie because people knew from the place this thing is coming from, a smallpox plague had already swept that area. So that was a no-go zone. But these guys could hear the baby's cry. Okay? And so this was in the late 1800s. Okay? And so my father went on to tell me the stories that these guys, I would say against your better judgment, to go to a place where there's no cure for the smallpox at that time. It wiped out communities, all right? Just from contact and stuff. We don't know about that because by the time we were born, there was a vaccine, and smallpox has pretty much been eradicated from the face of this earth.
How we pray that COVID-19 one day,
yes, would happen the same.
Will happen the same.
Yes. And so this family risked and went out into this village and found the baby. Everybody else was dead, but this baby was still alive. Maajabu haya. Okay, and they got this baby. Check. I mean, if anyone else is alive, nobody was alive. Everybody had been wiped out by this plague. So they took the baby, and so there were no marks, no sores, nothing, none of those pox things that you'd find, on this child.
Yeah, nothing on the skin.
Nothing on the skin. No scars. Nothing to show this kid, and it was a miracle that the kid was
alive.
Yes. The kid was barely 6 months. So what my father said, why they would know it was barely 6 months, the kid could not sit up, but could kidogo roll. So it's around that age.
Yeah.
And so this family went ahead and just took this kid in and adopted them as their own. And raising up this child in this home, this kid had a special status in the family, as opposed to the others, and mainly because of this child is a survivor. And so, a most favored status. I don't know if you'd hear these things like, allow me to use the example in the Bible of Jacob had a favored son that was Joseph. He spoiled the guy at the
expense, to the chagrin
of the rest.
Yeah. See, I used the big word. Yeah, I went to an academy.
But it wasn't this part where you're making the kids feel the other kids' siblings feel jealous. It's just that this kid
was special.
Yes, he had a place in everybody's heart in that family. And so when the kid was about 3-4 years old, they were sleeping in their mother's hut, and right in the middle of the night, from nowhere, a hyena was sniffing through, opportunistic place, went to the entrance, found these kids, and just grabbed the kid by the ankle, dragged the kid out, right into the bush.
Wow.
And before everybody knew, the hyena had disappeared. And those days there was no flashlights or anything of that sort. And so as they tried just to trace the tracks using whatever kind of lighting they could, it was unsuccessful. So they were frantically just waiting for the sun to rise. And when the sun rose, they finally found the drag marks of the hyena dragging the child. And so they looked. My father said my father told me the story. They looked for long, almost till daybreak. Was it midday? Middays rather. And they found the hyena's den. But they also found the child right there in the hyena's den.
Wow.
Alive.
Wow.
And not just alive, chilling.
Are you crazy?
Kid was not crying, nothing, just with a nasty wound on the ankle. Okay.
Wow.
On his ankle, but there was no hyena. And you would wonder why the hyena didn't eat this toy for dinner, for lunch, or maybe he was saving it for the child for another, so I don't know. But the kid was not harmed at all, apart from that.
Do you think the hyena was in a circle? It had a saving scheme.
Even the way you face looked before you started that statement, I knew there was a snarky remark coming.
No. But you guys, he started it, Bana. They're like, Kenny, the hyena, I don't know, it saved the toy for...
No, I'm trying to... I would not know what...
No, I understand. It's just...
We know these hyenas to just eat up, whatever they find. And that's how the child survived. Okay, we'll never know why this child survived those two ordeals in the span of 3 to 4 years.
So smallpox survives a disease that eradicates the entire village. No scratch, no nothing.
Oh, nothing.
And then he's stolen by a hyena.
Yes. Stolen? Actually, that sounds good.
Right, but it was stolen by a hyena. A hyena came.
Yes.
Picky, ponky.
Yeah. There probably were other kids.
Yeah, there were probably other kids.
Yes.
Said, this one.
Yes. Maybe because she was the youngest. Possibly.
Maybe.
The smallest. Yes.
Yeah, hyena was weight conscious.
Yes.
Like, see, jumbo jet.
Yeah.
10 kgs free. Anything above that,
yeah, you
750 if you pay online, so it picks this child.
Yes.
And then doesn't eat it.
No. doesn't eat the kid.
So the only injuries on the child are the drag marks.
Yes, just the grip from the jaws of a hyena.
And
didn't even crush the bones. I know the grip of a hyena
is so strong.
It's maybe one of the strongest grips for animals.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you saw my grandfather on one of his ankles, I'm not sure if to the left or right, you'd see the scars there, and he had a slight limp. That was it.
So you've killed the part of the story I was going to ask.
Yeah.
So what's the significance of this story for you? But this child was your grandfather.
That's with my grandfather. And so the significance of this story was when my father was telling me this story, he was telling me in the sense that as we consider adopting, know this, that this is not new to this family. Okay? We are products of an adoption. Our own, my own father, your grandfather, was adopted into a family. Okay? And so as you are considering, as you are struggling and wrestling with it as a couple, you and your wife, all right, know that this is not new.
Yeah, for the family, it's not
new. For the family, it's not new. Yeah. And again, your mom was a social worker, and you see what...
You grew up watching
her do the same thing with all that. And so this is not new to the family. So it is in you. It is in your blood. It's the destiny of the Oderas.
You know, you land on legacy in such funny ways. And yet the legacy of adoption could very well be a legacy that creates something very special in the Odera family. I think it already has.
I believe so.
But, you know, something that the world is going to celebrate down the line, you know?
Just to add that, I wouldn't be here talking to you if my great-grandparents did not adopt.
Imagine that.
I wouldn't be here.
So that right there is the... Wait, this deserves applause for being clever.
Finally, I've got it right.
You got an applause. Wow. Okay. So there are two themes in this conversation.
Yes.
I think. One is the conversation around adoption. For whatever reason you choose to adopt.
Yeah.
Adoption is... I find it an enigma in a sense.
Because why would you see that?
Because I really applaud you for this, bro, because in my world, I haven't seen much adoption. I've seen some, but I haven't seen much of it. And in my world where it's been hush. It's not been open. So I have an auntie and an uncle whom I think were adopted because there's a rumor like that somewhere, but no one will come straight and say they were adopted. And so what we think there is what everybody thinks is that there was a broken marriage somewhere. We just don't know who the dad is, but the mom sort of was left with these two kids. But I hear the story is actually an adoption story. So for some reason, it's carried with some stigma.
Yes.
There's some try and keep the story on the down low. You would never tell the kids that they're adopted, if they are, and if they are told, they don't tell others. And my family has that thing going on, because even just getting to know my dad took me 18 years, you know. So I like the fact that for your family, the legacy is very open. It's, of course, your father was telling you when you're old, but I don't think it was older.
Qualify old.
Sorry. Old. But I don't think he had been hiding it.
No.
So why I find it an enigma is because in my world it's not spoken about. Yet you make the assertion that it's possible to love the child that you adopt more than children you biologically give.
Yes.
Which I don't understand, because I could die for my children. I could really just take a bullet for them. And you know that. How is it that biologically give more.
You know when we were asked to make those, when you were invited by Engage Kenya to make these talks.
Yeah.
What are the things that are passionate? And the theme around that time was
What's love got to do
what's
with
love got to do? And it was just around the Valentine's time. It was actually a day after Valentine's Day. And the thing we were asking ourselves is, how could we tell the love story? And I think Cupid gets too much PR.
Cupid. Who's Cupid?
Cupid is that funny
He's never idea me.
That love angel with a...
Let me tell you, Cupid is nothing. Let me tell you, Cupid does not say the brother.
All right, dude, it's okay, man.
Oh, sorry, I'm just having fun with that drum.
Let it go, man. Let it go.
This guy. But he gets too much PR.
He gets too much PR.
In fact, there's a song. They even songs.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. But the thing about it is that what love story could I tell that I can totally relate to is that now that these children are at home with me, since they've been away from school, okay, and I can see them, okay, and they're testing every fiber and nerve in me, all right, and for them they're learning, and they learn through trial and error. Most error than it is by trial. You know, and we who are used to, I think we presume many times as adults, kids should figure it out, you know, and so I'm just looking at these guys, and my answer to you, my brother, is there's no greater love than this. I would say, where these kids don't know you from
Adam,
mkate nusu, yes, and slice bread, whatever it is. They don't know you from Adam, and you don't know them, but yet they just give love. They give love, and they don't question your love for them, and so that's the same thing for me. It's like they just draw out the love out of me, bro. I can't really explain it.
I can't explain it, but I understand. You know, children teach you unconditional love.
Absolutely.
When Modoni was born, when my daughter was born, I was in the delivery room. But I remember the first time I saw her. And I said, I will protect this child for the rest of her life. I had such an overwhelming sense of, I can't describe anything else but love. 12 years later, I mean, you think you've been tested. I just hold on.
Yeah.
If you just hold on, you shall be tested some more.
Yes.
Well, she's a good kid, but and a great kid actually. But I mean, like every child, she has her moments. Yeah?
Trial and error.
Yeah, mostly error.
Sometimes, most of the time, we're learning through error.
But I'd do anything for my kids.
So, just to answer your question again, is I don't know if I can explain. I'm telling you what is drawing out of me and the experience that I'm getting, and so you just know that it's amazing, an amazing experience.
And around us, we have friends who've adopted.
Yes, we have mutual friends.
We have mutual friends who've adopted as well. And for me, I'm like, I feel like it's very brave. What's that process like for a guy? Maybe let's go back. I wish I had that rewind sound.
You've just made it. It's okay.
I think around 2009, maybe, we are having a conversation with you, and you're sharing that, you know, you're trying to get a child. And you're having a conversation with me, and you're saying, you know, that you're seeing doctors, you're trying to figure out, you know, where you are, even as a guy, fertility-wise. You and your good wife had been trying to get a child.
Yes, we have.
How was that experience for you?
It's interesting, yeah? The number of articles that I've read about infertility, or families not being able to conceive, whatever it is, are mainly from the women's side.
Mm-hmm. We never hear the guy's side.
I have looked. I'm not sure I've found, what I call substantial things. I have found some of them. Have found substantial ones. I think the first thing for me that I was struggling with is being able for my wife to see who she is. In the sense that she in a context like ours, the act and the process of bearing a child affirms your womanhood. And probably that was about 4 years after we were married, the questions are coming, what you call innocent remarks that are not so innocent.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know them.
And so we have been married about 4 or 5 years there. And a lot of our peers who got married around the same time were on baby number 2, and stuff. And so the question to just be able to interact and love my wife, and for her not even just to reciprocate, but to accept that love, that was the hard part. Because for her, the culture and the context sees her as less of a woman. In fact, my wife used the word, those cheap imports from some countries. She called herself, that's how she felt. Like she was one of those cheap imports that come in, you use it, and then it doesn't last you long. And that's how I think that's one of the things that broke me.
I really hope COVID-19 is a cheap import. That
it doesn't last for long.
I mean, we have history with items from certain countries. I'm not saying where. I'm just saying that I really hope. Okay, sorry.
I've not said it, bro. It comes from your mouth.
But I hear you. That's such a bad way to feel about yourself.
Yes. So here I am trying to affirm my wife about who she is. Very confident woman. One of the most brilliant, intelligent women I've met. Okay? Very sharp, confident, just beginning to go up the career ladder at her place. I think she had pretty much, if not, just been promoted to being a general manager in this how we call it, SME, the bigger of the SMEs.
Yeah, the me part.
The me part.
Okay, right? No, but me for medium enterprise.
Exactly.
Not so much the small.
Yes.
The joke used to be when I ran my business.
Yes.
I say mine was not an SME.
Yours was?
Just me.
Why did I ask you that question? Some response like that will come.
It was just me. There was no S. I was just a business.
But anyway, imagine, Amani, there were things that were actually happening for her career-wise.
Yeah.
And for us, but that part wasn't working. I think
she was growing career-wise.
Yes.
She was getting ahead.
Yes. And it didn't help, at that time, that her peers were also with child or had already children. And one other thing, I was a pastor. Okay? And that made us on the limelight. It just kept us on the limelight. So people would see us, and they would ask, when you guys don't have children, why don't you guys have children? One snide remark to my wife was, this was the one that even I got really pissed about this. When you don't want to have children, you're checking your figure. I was like,
Someone said that to your wife?
Yes. You remember that song, I Must Stay Saved?
But bro, violence is not un-Christian. I mean, when I read the Bible, I see a very violent God. I mean, sometimes it's It's okay to
We'll go into that theology another time if you invite me after this one. Yes,
it's okay.
If I've truly arrived. Okay?
Yeah, no, you've arrived. You're ready for round 3.
So that really irked me. Okay, and so my wife stopped going for baby showers because it became difficult. I remember her one time saying, "Pregnant women are stalking me."
Wow.
You
see them everywhere.
Exactly, you see them everywhere. I started seeing them everywhere. I started noticing pregnant women everywhere. But here's the thing that was even more challenging, Amani. I was a pastor, and I had to dedicate children. People who desire to have children would come to me and say, "Please pray for us. We are struggling with this." One of the things that also was even harder for me, Amani, was when young guys would come and say, "Oh, Pastor, I've screwed up. I wasn't planning."
Akina Amani.
I wasn't planning. I wasn't planning this, but just a one-night stand. And it happened, man. It happened, and now she's pregnant. Or now I'm pregnant. And I used to say, "Lord, just give those toys to us." Because for them, it was a crisis. I was just celebrating it. I would say that, guys, man, just be glad there's a toy. Okay?
And people are wondering, what's wrong with you?
Yes.
Are you excited about our crisis? How are you excited about the fact that us guys have this problem that we'll take care of for the rest of its life? And you're thinking, that's not what it is.
That's not what it is. But here's a conversation that it went here, Amani. I think for me, the first thing we did is like, let me use science on this part. Most of the time, the issue of fertility is not the woman.
It's the guy.
And so that's when we had that conversation. In fact, remember I just come back to the office?
Yeah.
And you asked me where I was from?
Yeah.
I told her I was from the doctor. And the first quiz is like, "Hey, man, sorry, man. Yeah, I hope you're okay." I'm like, "No, I'm not okay. I'm all right, man. I'm really all right."
Yeah. I'm wondering what this guy talking about, Bana.
So you asked me, "So what was up?" I said, "Well, I went to check my swimmers. I wanted to check if my swimmers were all right. They were good to go. They could swim the 200-meter freestyle.
Yeah.
If they could make Olympic champions." And I went. I went on my own first, just to check, just see if. And they came back, and it was right. "You're fine." I was like, okay. So I went for a second opinion. It was about 2 months later, and the thing came back. Now, this was the hard thing to do, to now tell my wife.
I've gone, I've checked. My swimmers, Jason Danford,
Michael Phelps.
Yeah. So,
but here's the thing.
Problem is not physically here.
Yes, but that's not how I did it. I was struggling with how to be able to...
Yeah, because I don't know how to have that conversation.
I don't know how to break that conversation.
Yeah.
Are you accusing me of this and all that? You're walking on eggshells, guy. Remember, here is a woman who has been very confident about who she is.
There's no right way to have this conversation.
Exactly, bro. I mean, dude, I can high five you 10 times on that.
Yes, COVID high five. Yeah,
COVID high five right there. But there's no way to break this. And at that same time, God gave me a lifeline. Okay? My wife had shared this story. And at least I think it's my mother-in-law, her mother had said, "There's this doctor." All right? You know the way our parents could talk of those days. There's this doctor, who is a family friend, you should go see and all that. So Jennifer comes and tells me this story, and I was like, cool, let's go. So when we go, now I can bring that up. So because now it is there, and so we go and we both get checked, and that's where it became a reality.
Wow.
But the challenge is not that we could not conceive. It's just the chances were very low.
Hey, now, Aki, there are people with other problems. Me, I can't swim. Personally, if you throw me into a swimming pool,
You'll drown.
I could drown.
Boy, I should think about
Yeah, think about it. You have better chances in an ocean, but in a swimming pool, I might be able to figure out how to get
to the edge.
Yeah, to the edge. But bro, my biggest challenge has always been my swimmer's banner. I used to tell people that when I sit in the same room with a chick that I think is hot, she should go pee on a stick. Because just my almost choked on the water. Just by the time my mind thinks she's hot, she's pregnant.
I shouldn't be laughing, but that's so funny.
It's true, man. So I've always been on the other edge of just being super careful about impregnating.
Yes.
Because then, fool me once, not in that way, but it's happened that I've had a child out of wedlock, and that was a problem. And the story is for another day. So, bro, you realize you're not gonna have kids, or the chances are low.
And this says the longer we take,
the harder it is.
The harder it gets. And so we started, we went to see a doctor. I kid you not, if I even say their name now, it'll just be, I just tell people never, ever to go to that doctor. All right? I'm like, no! Don't go to that one.
If you want to know who it is, we'll give you Gowi's. Find Gowi on social media. Yeah.
And then we went to one doctor, very, very, an older elderly man.
Yeah.
I think he was into the more, how would I call it, more alternative methods, trying to use different supplements and stuff like that. And they weren't really working. Oh, by the way, each time we went to a different doctor, we had to be tested on our abilities to do that. Because, you want to use...
You were tested so many times.
I was tested so many times. But here's the thing. For me, it's all right. For the lady, it's invasive.
Wow.
For the Jama, that was easy, man.
Yeah. You might even say it's fun. I'm just saying.
It's not an unpleasant experience.
It's not a struggle.
No.
Wow.
Okay. And so each time we did that, and so to the point that we said, you know what, Amani, I think the thing that is most probable here is, because the chances are getting slimmer, let's consider looking at what are our options. The options here came about with trying to look for assisted fertilization, and then there was adoption. And when I brought up the adoption thing, that thing was shut down like the way Italy has been shut down by COVID.
It was record lockdown instant. But you say in your story, the one that people should watch on Engage, that this was a conversation you had before you got married.
We had this conversation. We got married. We had this conversation.
It was one of the boxes.
It was one of the boxes we had to tick.
And she agreed.
But somehow this thing just became. It was like, don't go there.
Understandably so, because basically you're saying you have failed, so let's go to plan B.
But that's not what I was saying.
It's not what you're saying, but it's how it's interpreted.
Could be. Yes.
Okay, it felt that way. It might
actually
have felt.
More or less could have felt that way.
Yeah.
But I think she saw where I was coming from this. Okay? For me, the idea was not what validates you is not necessarily your ability to give me a child. What validates me is what validates you here is my covenant to be with you as long as we live, whether or not. We said for good, for bad, for richer, for poor, better, for worse, in sickness and in health. And so those are what you call cases imagined or unimagined. These were one of those unimagined ones. We didn't see ourselves getting here, Amani. And so for us, that's what we were struggling with. And dude, almost every time I brought up this subject of adoption, it was shut down.
Wow.
And let me give you two things that I hated the most when I used to hear, and till today, just like, just can I tell you two things? Maybe it is not God's will. God, I was like, I can, pull out the hair on my head and there's nothing on my head. It's God who's put us in this situation.
Yeah.
And then secondly, maybe I'm not having enough faith. And I said, you know what, bro? This is me. This is my fault. This is me and my kin. All of us pastors who keep on telling people you don't have much faith. This is the result. I'm reaping it. I may have not done, but I'm part of it. And I accept that the church has done such a great disservice to many of us around the world, especially for those who say they believe God, that because you don't have a child or because something is not happening that you want, you don't have enough faith. So, when you say you don't have enough faith, it's like you have to measure it on a weighing scale to say, it needs to pass, 7.8 grams. So that's enough faith. Scripture says you have to have faith just enough, tiny as a mustard seed. So how small is a mustard? Dude, have you ever seen a mustard seed?
No.
It is tiny. Do you know what tiny is?
Yeah.
Tiny. Okay?
So,
but here's the thing, and allow me to just vent kidogo.
Vent.
And I think the thing that really pisses me off about this is that we have preached the wrong gospel. And the wrong gospel here is that if you do this, then God will. Okay? If we do this, then God will.
It's transactional.
It's a transactional thing. And that's not what God has ever... And that's why people get disillusioned. And I don't blame my wife at that particular point. We've all drank that Kool-Aid. In my head, I was like, there's nothing you can do and will do about getting a child. It is not up to you or myself. And these were the kind of heated discussions we'd have in our home. So tense, bro. It didn't help. After I went into politics, our marriage was on the rocks.
I remember.
Yeah. We were in counseling. Pastor Gowi in counseling.
I remember.
It was a tense time for us because it now brought out the ugly side of Gowi, Makodinge.
Do you know how hard it was to talk to you about my marriage being on the rocks while your marriage was on the rocks? We've never had this conversation. But I remember coming to chapel one day and a guy, I was at my lowest, bro. And I was trying to have a conversation with you about it. But I could see that you were hurting as well. And I just felt, so for a moment there, I felt bad for you, but I felt alone. I'm like, you shouldn't have problems so that you're there for me. But I'm glad you got out of it. Bro, first, I'm so sorry about that period, man.
Dude, if it doesn't kill you,
makes you stronger. It's true. That's what they say.
So in this particular process, I think the tension around not being able to conceive, even going through, assisted fertilization, and dude, there was one time we got pregnant. It's not that we didn't. It was one time we got pregnant.
Now I'm looking for soundtracks.
Yeah, and we, when I had this conversation, we got pregnant. Tena, we had twins.
I think did you ever tell me this?
I did.
I think you did. Yeah.
But we lost the pregnancy. I think for me,
that must have destroyed her.
I think for me, the thing that was encouraging about that is that we got pregnant. For me, that was the thing. It's like, at least we got pregnant. So that we've got that out of the way. Okay? So we got pregnant. But it is not us to manage and handle how our life comes in our way and goes.
I've had friends lose. In fact, even as recently as this year, a child at birth.
Wow.
Carried almost to full term. And the loss of the child, I mean, you can't put words to that kind of grief.
No, you can't.
I've never had any of them say, at least you got pregnant. Do you understand that this is so confusing to my emotions? On one hand, I'm rejoicing with you that you got pregnant and, you know, it was out of the way. It is a fact that you can get pregnant. There's an affirmation of it.
Dude, we've been doing this for almost 10 years. At least we got pregnant, bro.
And we're talking about that in the midst of a loss of twins.
And I'm not over spiritualizing this. I'm just trying to be able to say, thank you, Lord, for this experience, for what it's worth. Thank you, God, because we don't have any control of life. That is not in our hands. At least that's
true.
That's what my wife and I believe. I'm not sure about listeners on this podcast, bro. But our belief here is that we don't control life.
So I want to talk about the turnaround to when she agreed to go to adopt. But before that, a friend of mine, again, just this year, insists on having a conversation with me. And I'm on a tight schedule. He's telling me, bro, we have to have this convo now. I'm like, dude, I'm going to the airport tomorrow morning. I'm leaving town. I'm like, I will take you to the airport because we have to talk. And so he picks me up and we go to the airport and he shares a similar story of them trying to have a child and they cannot. And how much pressure there was on him from his wife. That, you know, like when her cycle starts, when her fertility cycle starts, and it's like, hey, get it up now, you know, because we have to, until he couldn't have sex because of that pressure. Like, how is that pressure for you?
I mean, it's like, where is he? With that same WhatsApp group, man.
I can put in the same WhatsApp group. By then, he probably needs to hear this conversation.
Well, the same WhatsApp group. Because we tried it. We tried it twice. Dude, it's damn expensive. Damn expensive. You're controlled. You are that. I remember telling my wife, I'm not a sex machine anymore.
Yeah, that's exactly what the guy was saying.
It's like, machine. Okay.
I can. And it's not on an on-demand service.
It's not an on-demand service.
It's not global.
Sex was supposed to be pleasurable.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
No, somebody white. Keep it on. Keeping on.
Let's find some music.
Some music.
Yeah, let's find some Barry, man.
Let's just take it slow.
Yeah, awesome. Let's get it on. Some Marvin Gaye.
Yeah, some Marvin Gaye, you know? It's supposed to be something like that. Let's get it on. But that's what it wasn't. It's timed. It had to do that because this is scientific, bro. This is scientific. And so, bro, it stressed us, man. It stressed me. So I relate with your pal in telling you that.
I've never had scientific sex. I'm just saying, listen, I'm not even trying to make light of this situation. I'm just saying, I know it's science, I know it's biology.
Yes.
But I've never really had, but there was a chick we used to make fun of. She was such a geek. Used to say if you had sex with her, she'd chomoa a test tube. Just about that time, she chomoa a test tube. Okay, let's go and have this analyzed. Like everything would be an experiment.
But, I mean, no pun intended in where we're going about this.
Yeah, no, I mean, just...
These were part of the things...
you have to find something to laugh about, man.
These were the part of the things that added to the stress in the marriage, bro. Okay? This was part of the things that added stress to the marriage and to our lives. And the comments and the hits didn't stop coming.
No?
Nah, bro.
Not sympathy after losing the
No, but
pregnancy?
we didn't go and make it public to
Yes.
Just a very close circle of us, I remember sharing this with my boys one time, man. a men's prayer group when I told them how where we were in our marriage, and I broke down and I just started crying. Let me tell you about Jamas. They don't know how to do that.
No,
Jama crying,
bro. Do you understand the amount of stress? As a guy, I already don't know what to do when a chick whom I expect to cry is crying. As you notice, what is this right here? What is this?
That's the handkerchief, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always have a handkerchief.
Yes.
In case I make a chick cry. Okay? So I carry around a handkerchief. Not because I might need it if I sneezed or cough.
Oh, you're such a gentleman.
Yeah,
such chivalry.
Yeah, I carry.
Yes.
In case
it's rare.
I make a chick cry. Okay? Now, I already don't know what to do if I make a chick cry. So what do? I hand a handkerchief. Yeah.
Yes. Chica.
Now, when you start crying, guy, what do?
So we're clutching at straws, bro. We're clutching at straws. And I remember sharing this with my pops. And so my pops knew where we were coming from. Man, there's so much wisdom. I miss that guy, man. I really miss that guy. It's been 5 years since he's gone. I really miss his wisdom. After I shared with him the stress we were going, he called me one day and he was in Sharks. And guess what? This first time you're hearing this, I don't think Mr. Gowi Odera himself was on the other line crying.
Oh, wow.
An old man in his mid-80s crying. I mean, Dad, why are you crying? It's like, because I can't do anything to my son. Can't help him. Can't help him. So, are you talking about me or you're talking about Pete? And he said, I mean, what you shared with me the other day about how your marriage is on the rocks. I was just, I mean, it was intense moment. I think for me, those were some of the moments for me when I believe that God exists. Because this elderly man says, I pray God will give you guys children, but that if it's anything, that your marriage would stand the test of time. But let's not get it twisted here. It was not just this inability to get children causing the stress in our marriage. We had other mess-ups. We have our flaws. We have our idiosyncrasies. We have our weaknesses. This just added fuel to the fire.
It was a catalyst.
Actually, it was the catalyst. Right? It was the catalyst. Ooh, dude. I think for me, the turnaround for me was when my father told me that story of his own father and his grandfather. That this is our destiny as a family. So, it's all right. The other turning point is when I'm not sure what it was. You know those many months where you don't talk about toys? But my wife reacted to some medical procedure. I remember I was out of the country. I remember that time also when she was in ICU. And I had to travel all the way from New Zealand
to come back.
And I told her, I'm not sure it's worth it. Because at this stage, if we go back and try this scientific, we don't know what else you will react to. And it wasn't a reaction to that. It's just that she had a condition that we did not know then. I said, we can't do this process again. And so I told her, let's go talk to a trusted friend of ours. And the trusted friend of ours, very trusted. I call her my big sister. My, ride or die. She is, oh my gosh, confident. This is a lady who I can confide in. You know the way Obama had, I can't remember what her name was, somebody Gareth. May I have this? And my wife knows about her. In fact, my wife can confide. And I said, look, let's go talk to her. Okay? Let me bring it to you. Because she runs a children's home. She deals with a lot of adoption cases, crisis. Let's go talk to her. Okay? And let's hear from her wisdom. So we went. And I was there, and and I asked her, can we meet? Fine. And when we did meet, Jennifer and I sat down, and I was about to talk, and she just said, Gowi, you be quiet now. You just be a spectator. Let Jennifer and I talk. And so, for almost an hour, this extrovert, talkative guy had to sit on his hands and not say a word as the two just talked. So I was listening in on Jennifer's frustrations with where we are, with me, with the situation, with her own perception of herself. When the whole done, our friend just looked at us and said, Gowi, this is what it is. Nyinyi mnaenda Mombasa, mmetoka Kisumu. Yako Kericho. Wewe uko Mombasa. Give her time. She'll catch up. This was probably like January, February. It was about January, February. So one day we're driving to see our in-laws. And Jennifer turns to me as we're driving in traffic on Bagathi Road, headed towards Rongai. And she says, I think we should adopt. Did I get off the road? Yes.
Out of the blues.
It couldn't be out of the blues.
Obviously, but the...
Yes. You know those quiet moments in the car that there are two of you, you're two in the car, there's no conversation, and she just stands and says, I think we should. Man, if I could have, got Kool and the Gang right now to sing, celebrate good times, come on, baby. That was the moment. I was more rejoicing, not because of the adopting, it's because Jennifer was able to get over that hurdle.
She had come there, she had arrived there.
I'm saying it is not about me. It is about what God is doing in my life. That this is an opportunity for me to reinvent myself, to take on the privilege of being a parent. And then we started asking, what would our families think? I know what our parents would think. Our parents would be like, it's about time. But what about your family? We don't know. What about the extended family? Yeah. What about the church? What are they going to say? And so there are many of those questions. And I think for us, the biggest question is, when the kids get older, all right,
what do you tell them?
When is the best time to tell them?
Yeah.
How should we break the news to them? Or is it something that we gradually do? And so those are things that we've been...
is it something you do even?
Yes. But they can't understand right now. They still...
No, obviously. So you told me I came from a family that doesn't say...
So it's...
I mean, I know Baraka and Gift are twins. Yes. My brothers. I know they are twins. Yes. But I'm sure one of them is adopted. Baraka. Yeah, I'm sure. His mannerisms, his behavior, his eating habits, there's nothing that guy does that's from my family. They are twins. They came from the same stomach. My mother's stomach. I know that.
But one of them is adopted. So, but nevertheless, I think for us, as they say, after that point, the rest is history. This is now about 5 years now going. And we have 2 lovely children. Wonderful children. Awesome kids. Wow.
What a story. I wanted to talk to someone who, especially a guy, they're struggling. They're struggling to get a child. He's going through the emotions that he went through that time. He's trying to figure out whether he's man enough, probably lashing out. compensating. I can't even, I don't know what that experience is. But when a guy comes to you and says, yo, I'm not sure I can have kids, what do you tell them?
I think for me, it's not the end of the world. You know, many of us can be fathers. Few of us can be dads. And I think it's a privilege to be called dad. And so, and that can, I mean, for you, your own personal story, Amani, you know, we can father many kids. And, you know, there are many Father Abrahams there that had many sons. Okay? And daughters.
I don't know how that made to Sunday school.
Yes, you don't know how it made it to
I don't know
the
how.
Sunday school playlist, the MP3 playlist.
We don't quite
understand. So one of the things that say it's not the end of the world. I think the crisis is in being in is where do you find your significance and your security. And once you've been able to define where your significance and your security comes from, I think we're able to face a challenge of this nature. I know of Jamas who have chosen just to marry somebody else or have a side.
I mean, it's one way to solve the problem,
Yes.
right?
So you're here on this marriage, you're fine, you know you're not going to have, you're on this side. But choices have consequences in itself. I know of other people who've divorced, okay? And sadly divorced. Unfortunately, some of those weddings that I've presided over. I know of others, bro, and this was even worse, where one family, you know, the in-laws pretty much chase the other. And usually again, guy, it's the
That's a
lady.
chick, yeah.
Yeah, chase the lady away, and so these are things that, you know, I say choices have consequences. And I think for me, the thing that I'd like to be able to encourage any man who's going in this is that it's not the end of the world, okay? And we need to be able to recognize the essence of a man. I would say it's not in his ability to procreate, but
Or a woman in that sense.
in that sense. Many of our listeners here are men, but you're right, a man or a woman is but in their ability to create something that surpasses their own legacy. It has to be something that goes on beyond you. And what a beautiful opportunity I think I have with my 2 children to be able to instill values, to instill some skill set, and hopefully these children will extrapolate some lessons over here and have their own philosophy of life and impact many other lives. To know that they've grown up in a home that have loved them. These kids were abandoned, left for dead. But now these kids have a hope, have a future, not because of anything, just because of love. And so mine is to tell these gentlemen and these ladies is it's not the end of the world. There's a place of reinvention, and part of reinvention is where do you get your significance and your security? I'd hope it's not on shifting things, on shifting sand. Okay? And I don't want to be presumptuous that I know what people are going through, Amani. Because it's real, man. It's real. It rips the inside of you, bro. And I can't imagine, especially for the women out there, where it's not just in the home, but the entire society rains down on you about this. I say hang in there. Hang in there, man. It's not the end of the world. But we need to find our significance and security in something that matters. For Jennifer and I, it was our faith in God.
And I can't add a word to the things you've said. And Gowi's in front of me, his eyes are...
I think I need that handkerchief.
It's reserved for chicks, bro.
Let me have that chick handkerchief.
But let me tell you this, bro. First, you're a good man.
Thank you, sir.
Number 2, you're a good father.
Appreciate that.
And I always knew you were going to be a good father with how you've treated my children. And one of the reasons I believe my son's destiny is great is because of you, man. So good.
Those are powerful words, bro. Thanks.
It's true. You've been incredible. And I remember you holding my son and dedicating him, and I couldn't understand your passion, man. Knowing what you were struggling with. So I can't wait to see what your kids turn out to be, man.
I can't wait either.
I can't wait to see what God does with your fatherhood gift. And I want to make a prediction. Because you've made one in my life, which, we are watching, right?
We are watching, man. We're watching.
Adopting your children. Close the loop. And started another one in your family cycle. And I have a feeling your children, but one, I don't know which one, will have global significance. And by global significance, I actually feel like some of your legacy. Sorry if you hear the car passing. It's during the day. I'm recording from home, but I have something to tell this man. Some of your legacy, of the things that you are supposed to do, will be done through your child. You have a David Solomon situation. Now, the David wanted to build a temple and had everything in it, but Solomon ended up doing it. Same scenario, but for global politics.
Wow. I received that, bro.
So let's watch that one.
I'm going to cherish those words, bro.
It's the truth, and I feel it in my spirit, man. Completely.
I received that, bro.
I hate that we have to end this conversation, man.
Yeah. There's a curfew coming up, bro.
Yeah.
I don't want to be stopped.
Yeah, you guys.
I I don't want to be stopped by a cop asking me where I'm coming from.
I want you to go home and be home safely and be
Before lockdown starts.
Be a good father to your children. But I cannot thank you enough for opening up your heart, opening up your story, being honest and authentic, and for coming all this way.
No problem, bro.
My brother Gowi, God bless you.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you very much.
Thank you for this opportunity.
You're welcome again and again.
All right.